As with a lot of months, this week's releases are a tad bit shorter, or maybe I was just pickier on which ones I picked. Either way, we are talking about the new books releasing on May 26th. There will be timestamps per genre that we talk about, so you can click to whichever is your favorite. This week, we'll start out by diving into some romance. The first one up is Dolly All the Time by Annabelle Monaghan. If they start by pretending, can they end with something real? Dolly Brick has never met a problem she couldn't solve, not when her mom left when she was 12, and not at 39 when she moves with her son back to Whitfield, Rhode Island for the summer to keep her dad and brother from losing the family home. So when she comes across Stuart Whitfield, annoyingly handsome scion of the Whitfield family, with a flat tire and the wrong end of a very public, very humiliating breakup, it's in her nature to help. But Stuart's proposed arrangement ends up being more than either of them bargained for, as very public dates and outings turn into something different. I guess it was a business arrangement. Maybe he was going to help her save their family home or something. Since he's money, I don't really understand what the arrangement would be. The description gave nothing. But I do appreciate that both of the characters seem to be older, or at least my age, maybe. She has a kid, so I'm going to go with maybe my age. Then our other one, I questioned a little bit because, okay, yet again, our main character is ever so slightly older than the main female protagonist in a romance novel. She's about to turn 30. Phoebe Berman's Gonna Lose It by Brooke Averick. Is it possible to find true love when going on dates makes you want to throw up? Phoebe Berman fears the one thing she wants the most, love, thanks to an extremely unfortunate first kiss attempt. Crippling intimacy anxiety has plagued her since she was a teen. Phoebe has so much going for her, a dream teaching job, a supportive and hilarious group of best friends, and all the romance novels a girl could want at her fingertips, but she can't help but beat herself up over the one thing she can't quite seem to figure out. So she makes a list of how to lose it before her 30th birthday. And suddenly, she goes from a relatively boring, basically non-existent dating life to juggling 3 romantic prospects at once. And I question this because all of those prospects seem to be possibly bad ideas. Like, one's a coworker, one is her roommate, which makes it sound really bad that she has the other 2 then, because the roommate would somehow know about that, I'm sure. I don't remember the third one at the moment. But still, questionable choices all around there. Then we start into our romanticies of the week. Well, one main romantasy, the other one's transitioned somewhere from the cozy fantasy on into fantasy. That's how this week is flowing. A Curse of Beasts and Magic by Jeanine Frost. This is the first of the Beautiful and Beastly series, where it is a sort of Beauty and the Beast reimagining, but the beauty is also the beast. Rain Stone is living a nightmare. Ever since she survived the attack that killed her family, she's been hiding a terrible secret, a beast inside her. It feeds on violence and chaos, but she resists its urges by playing vigilante on the city streets, until one night, Rain uses the beast's energy to heal an elderly gentleman from a seemingly random attack and discovers a new world of danger, literally. Remington Remy Brine knows the wall between a realm of deadly mythic creatures and our own world is very fragile. After all, he's the warden who guards the gateways between them. Ryan's beast contains power that could help tip the scales in a sinister plot against Remy's rule, if she allies with him. Then more of our cozy fantasies with romance tendencies. The first one I questioned a little bit, but the tagline. Bromantasy by Marie Roche. 2 heroes, 1 brain cell. It is classified as idiots to lovers, I think, by the author. Or one of the earlier reviewers tagged it as that. So, Juniper O'Reilly is good at only 2 things: demolishing a pint of mead and finding the perfect skincare routine. Everything else, taking care of the farm, bartering for goods, and any sort of manual labor, falls to Juniper's best friend, the absurdly capable, endlessly patient Mo Elmthorne. But when Juniper accidentally volunteers them both for a quest to kill a fearsome monster, he knows he's finally gotten in over his head. Juniper hates camping, he hates the dark, and there's no way all of these forged mushrooms are going to sit well in his stomach. One thing he doesn't hate, how good Mo's thighs look in his questing pants. He doesn't have time to think about that, though, with the monster to hunt and their futures on the line. The reason I'm not sure about this one is that I think the main character is going to be very, very annoying. Maybe it's just me. It might just annoy me. So yeah. And everybody else might love this one because, I mean, okay, two idiots, one brain cell. So I need someone to read it and tell me, are they good for each other? Then we have one that sounds adorable and second chances and cozy vibes. And it says it gives Stardew Valley and Studio Ghibli, I think is what they wanted to say. It gives the vibes up. Field Guide for the Formerly Villainous by Autumn K. England. When Oakland Nettlewood accidentally joined an evil world-ending cult, mind control magic forced them to do unspeakable things. Years later, the realm's heroes have finally saved the day, defeated the villain, and shattered the last remnants of the spell, leaving destruction in their wake. And so, with a spell-damaged memory and a whole bushel of trauma, Oakland escapes to a small farm on the edge of Mosley's Rest and swears an oath, after all the things they were forced to do with their magic, they will never use it again, ever. But the no-nonsense ghost granny who lives in Oakland's house has other ideas. Healing comes in gentle waves, and Oakland doesn't have to do it alone. As the granny pushes him to get back out in the world and make friends, and so he's going to have the found family vibes in this community for a more dark fantasy, horror-leaning vibes. Bone of My Bone by Joanna Van Veen. The year is 1635. Sister Ursula, a young nun fleeing the ruins of her convent, and Elspeth, a sharp-witted peasant, escape a band of marauding soldiers and disappear into the Bavarian forest. War scorches the land, and no one survives it alone. Amid the devastation, they find something in the arms of a dying man, a gilded skull of a saint. It is said that if you reunite the saint's skull with her body, a wish will be granted. Desperate for salvation, and each with secret desires of their own, Ursula and Elspeth follow a ragged map across the blighted countryside. But of course, they're not alone, as there is a necromancer also hunting the skull and following its trail. We'll transition over to sci-fi, starting with Babylon, South Dakota by Tom Lin. I did look up how to pronounce the Chinese names, but I still don't think I'm going to get it right. When Seoul King Xiu and his wife Mei Li moved from China to the United States to take possession of a 160-acre homestead bequeathed to them by a distant relative, all they have are the possessions on their back, some hidden gold, and a pocket full of chrysanthemum seeds. After a rocky start and a long, harsh winter, the couple find themselves successfully raising chrysanthemums and livestock, and soon after, a daughter, Mara. But when representatives from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers buy an acre of Sioux farmland and begin to building a missile silo, the inexplicable starts to occur. Mara can commune with the animals on the farm. May develops a hidden talent for augury, and the chrysanthemums become impervious to everything. When the Sioux learn that the project on their farm is an effort to make America's nuclear deterrent invulnerable, they see firsthand the long arm of power and empire. And this seems to be a generational story as it starts with them, but you will see the effects through their family through the years. Then we have The Redemption Center is Closed on Sundays by Andrea Hairston. Every Sunday, Ona the Saint Berdoodle and her current owner, Zuzu, make their way to the winding paths of the state park to the enigmatic Redemption Center, a place often mistaken for a haunted mansion. When a local celebrity is found murdered, the unexpected brings Ona together with a ragtag group of local misfits. Together, they venture into the depths of the center's mystery to untangle the threads of murder and deception. Because Ona has a secret, they're not just a regular dog. They might be a multi-dimensional traveler, and maybe they already know who the killer is. Every time, though, I tried to read this, I wanted to say Saint Bernardoodle. I don't know how you're supposed to say that right. Next would be Ode to the Half Broken by Suzanne Palmer. 30 years ago, the world nearly ended. Bee was there, but the old robot has since settled into a life of isolation in the abandoned New York Botanical Gardens, determined to forget their role in the cataclysmic conflict. But when they wake up in a bathtub and their leg is missing, and the only one to ask for help is a very chatty cyborg dog, Bee may want to forget the world, but it seems the world hasn't forgotten them. They're forced out of their solitude, and Bee embarks on a quest to reclaim their leg, accompanied by that talkative dog and a human mechanic with nightmares of her own. As their motley crew soon discovers that recovery from the war is uneven and faltering, and Bee begins to suspect a malicious hand is trying to rekindle old conflicts. Our thrillers of the week start with The Divorce by Frida McFadden. Naomi was living the quintessential love story. Boy meets girl, they fall in love, get married, buy a dream house, start a family. Then he kicks her out. hires the city's best divorce lawyers, drains their accounts, and takes up with a 20 something. It's a brutal end to the story. Naomi should accept defeat, move into a dingy apartment, get back into the workforce, and piece together the shattered remains of her life. Except, why should she? Instead, Naomi fixates on her husband's new girlfriend. What begins as a cynical curiosity soon twists into obsession and then into something far darker. Hopefully, this one's going to be on the better end of the spectrum. I feel like it has the vibes to pull it off. But I know several of her new releases have been back and forth with the fans, her ardent fans' enjoyments of them. Then we have The Final Target by Nora Roberts. He showed up at Arden Bowie's debut author appearance with a copy of her novel and an eager smile. He showered her with compliments and got her autograph. Then he came to her next event, and the one after that. Dustin was just an aspiring writer who wanted advice, Arden reassured herself, but after giving in to one of his insistent invitations and chatting with him over coffee, she discovered that ignoring her inner alarm bell had been a terrible mistake. After having to get professional interventions into this man in her life, Arden decides to write a new story for herself, moving to a tiny Oregon town and befriending Gideon, an ex-LAPD detective. But while she learns to thrive, Dustin remains his delusional, twisted self, as fixated as ever and now seething with anger. He still believes Arden's purpose on Earth is to serve and please him, and his job to protect her. But who will protect her from him? I like the concept of this one. Hopefully it lands in its execution. More of a horror vibed one that is a translated work being released this week. Teddy Bears Never Die by Yoon Cho, and it's translated by Song Ryu. When the fledgling coastal town of Yamo is rocked by a mass poisoning attack at the Seaview Park, a luxury high-rise apartment, Huang Young is one of many who lost family members, except she has never believed that her mother was poisoned. Now, fueled by grief and a desire for revenge, Young spends her time hustling to save every penny and bring those responsible to justice. Across town, Doa wakes up in a teddy bear and realizes something sinister has taken his body. When fate brings Hua Young and Dao together, the two team up for a revenge quest that will shake the city's shiny facade to its rotten core. The main character is 16, and when she's trying to find out who killed her mom, and this does take her into a seedier situation where then somebody is trying to kill her when the teddy bear comes to life and saves her. And then the slasher vibes of the horror ensue, and it is a bit gory, and reviews were mostly positive, I feel, but there were some. From there, we have our YAs. The first one up is a historical kind of retelling, Behind Five Willows by June Her. As the dutiful second eldest daughter of a poor family, society would have Hyeon believe her only hope of a decent life is to marry well. But during a time of rampant government censorship and book banning, she instead works as an illegal book transcriber to make a little extra money. It's dangerous work, but she loves it, especially when she gets to transcribe the work of her favorite author known as Black Lotus. When her older sister becomes smitten with a wealthy young gentleman, Hyeon is roped into chaperoning them during their courtship, which wouldn't be so terrible if it weren't for the young man's uptight and annoying best friend who also accompanies them, because he's also chaperoning. And you will see from both of their points of view, and this is a Korean-inspired version of Pride and Prejudice. Then a YA fantasy romancy vibe, not really okay, there is the romance element, but I think it is more so fantasy level, maybe. The Last Best Quest Ever by F.T. Lukens. 17-year-old Eleanor has the best questing record in the kingdom. Not even Avon, the infuriatingly charming royal who's become her fiercest rival, can compete. But every one of Eleanor's triumphs is a lie. The monster she's slain, staged. The treasure she's claimed, planted. Tired of the charade, she shocks the realm by retiring during a royal feast. Her hopes for a quiet life vanish when her reckless twin brother, Zig, bets his life on her ability to retrieve the horn of the mythical elder beast, a creature no one believes is real. To save him, Eleanor must return to the spotlight for one final quest. She's joined by Zig, eager to prove himself, Avon, determined to finally outshine her, and a ragtag crew of unlikely questers with big dreams, questionable skills, and a knack for trouble. So we also have a bit of the found family vibe with our questing crew here, and the romance that might ensue as the rivals aspect comes into play as well. The only thing is I'm just not sure about that main character. Both of our honorable mentions this week are second books that are interconnected standalones. kind of. The first one is Curses, Keys, and Secret Societies by Brianne Randall, the conclusion of the Sisters of Light and Shadow duology. Now, that is very confusing that it is an interconnected standalone, but also the conclusion of a duology. And several of the reviewers did say that you should really, really read the first book first to understand a lot of the references that are being made. But it is following its own characters. Dark Secrets, Deadly Choices, a Destiny That Can't Be Outrun. Welcome to Shadowcraft Academy. Elena Diaz dreads going home to the French countryside after leaving 4 years ago. Upon her return, she finds the estate has become host to the Shadowcraft Academy, an elite graduate school where a world of mysteries and power plays away. What's worse, her father is the enigmatic and ruthless headmaster with an agenda of his own. And then she discovers a prophecy about her magic that could change everything. So not dark academia, but academia setting, love triangles, somehow interconnected with the first one, but I don't know. Our other one, completely different characters, only set in the same world, and that would be The Midnight Train by Matt Haig. It's going to be the series called The Midnight World. When your life flashes before your eyes, where would you stop? No one can change the past, but the Midnight Train can take you there. The chance to relive the moments that meant the most, to see what kind of person you really were. For Wilbur, his best days were with Maggie, the love of his life, on his honeymoon in Venice, before he gave it all away. He wishes he could go back and live differently, but to do so risks everything. That one sounds like it's going to be sad, maybe, but deep, who could say? Those are all the ones that are on my list this week, though, and if you want to mention any of the other ones coming out this week, feel free to drop them in the comments down below for everybody to check out. I hope you're finding something great to read today, and that I'll see you in the next one.